What is up, Twitch chat and YouTube? Welcome to another Vintage League. We're still prepping for the Vintage Showcase 2 weekends from now. I wanted to try out a bunch of the decks that are performing well in the metagame. Even if I'm not going to play them, it's good to know how to play other decks so that you can, pilot against them even easier. One deck that caught my eye is there's been a lot of return of Ravager shops, different versions of Aggro shops. This, however, is not Ravager shops. MPL Wizard Kanister has 3 straight top 8s with a aggro workshop list featuring Null Rod in the main. The format right now with Urza Saga is very artifact heavy. You'll see decks playing multiple main deck energy fluxes. And this isn't even just one pilot. Now it's 2 pilots who are doing that. One of the top 8 lists was piloted by former world champion Javier Dominguez with a bug list with 2 energy fluxes in the main. So there's a lot going on right now in terms of metagame shifts. Tinker is falling out of favor as people adapt to the Saga Tinker decks, and we're seeing some new decks appear. Aggro shops took a while to get its Modern Horizons juice in. It was getting kind of crowded out by how much people were playing Golos shops. I guess Golos shops, it was an easier adaptation towards Saga. But as Golos shops has kind of fallen out of favor, both its metagame share and win rate have plummeted. Ravager shops, or in this case, just aggro shops, has definitely picked up the slack in terms of play percentages. The 2 big pickups from Modern Horizons being Urza Saga and Nettlecyst. Nettlecyst is really, really strong in these style decks. Really, really big creature, very fast. So what is different about Kanister's version of aggro shops in compared to Ravager shops? Well, as you can tell, Arcbound Ravager and Walking Ballista have been cut from the deck, mostly just straight up replaced by Null Rod and Stonecoil Serpent. The rest of the deck is fairly similar. There's you have your Urza Saga targets. You have an 18 and 19 land mana base, and then you have your restricted Thorn, Trinisphere, Mystic Forge, Lone Stone Golem. I'm a big fan of the Traxos. I think the first Traxos in aggro shops is very good. You might recall that I did put out a video on a similar style of deck 3 or so months ago, back when Kanister was taking a little bit of a break from Vintage. This is what that deck looked like. I'll probably put a link somewhere in the description. Arcbound Ravager cut from Vintage Workshops. What are the changes that I have that didn't get seen in this newer list? Well, Needle and Cage as main deck Saga targets are big ones. And also, I didn't play Null Rod in the main. I don't really feel like the metagame at the time, it was that good to play Null Rod in the main. I instead tried to play Crystalline Giant and Walking Ballista. That ended up being pretty medium. Walking Ballista without Ravager is a lot worse, and Crystalline Giant is just okay. So big change in moving Null Rod into the main and not playing Walking Ballista at all. But I like the look of this list. It looks well crafted. We're going to play a Vintage League and just see how it goes. Welcome to round 1 of this Vintage League. We're up against VWXYZA. A powerful wizard. Recently went 4-0 in a prelim with Squee. Like the Hollow Vine style decks. Definitely known for being a Bazaar pilot. I think the Bazaar matchup's pretty reasonable, having access to Wastelands. This is not the fastest hand, but I do have access to a Wasteland and a pretty decent clock, so I'm going to keep this in. Thank you for the resubbing, all the primes and subs. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Let's invoke some pain. I guess we are going to get Vigored. That could be a problem. But, I mean, we definitely want to get this Saga out quickly so that we can get a Needle or a Cage. So I think we just have to risk getting Vigored and hope their 7-card hand doesn't have one. That is definitely an issue playing these kind of decks against Force of Vigor. If you don't deploy a Sphere, you're very weak to it. But, I mean, when have I ever had an Urza Saga Force of Vigor? That's probably never happened on this channel, right? Probably never. I would hope not. I want to play this Stonecoil Serpent out because I want to use my mana efficiently. I want my Tolarian Academy to be bigger, and I want my Nettlecyst to be bigger. Oh, so we are going to probably lose our Nettlecyst or maybe Glowstone Golem here to this Grief, but we have a backup. We have our Wasteland, so not a huge deal unless they have a second Bazaar. Play Saga first. Yes, that is totally correct. I didn't even think about it. You should be playing Saga before playing Jet in this situation because Saga has a trigger and you don't want them to Vigor your Jet and your Saga with the trigger on the stack. That is totally true. I'm definitely not used to that heuristic. I'm much more used to you want to play your Moxins before showing your land in workshops so that they have less information. A key example that I usually give for new aggro shops players is if you have like a mana crypt, a workshop, and a sphere, you want to play mana crypt sphere. One, you want to play your mana crypt before the sphere, but two, you don't want to show your opponent that you have a workshop until after the sphere has either resolved or not. Because then they have to weigh the option, well, what if my opponent, you know, has a second one or follows up with a workshop Trinisphere? Like, what am I going to do kind of thing. So not, you know, that's not always the case if you're on the play and draw. It's kind of play draw dependent, but typically you want to like play your Moxin and your spheres before playing your land drop. But in the case of playing around Force of Vigor, playing your Saga and then your Mox is definitely important. So unless I draw a Moxin, I won't be able to get a Construct. But again, I think that's totally worth it because I think Saga getting Needle and Cage is going to be really, really important. If I Wasteland this and my Saga gets me a Cage, I feel like I should be very favored. Again, I could like play Academy and then play Lodestone Golem to turn off spells. But I think just hitting the Bazaar is of the utmost importance. So I don't end up getting a Construct, but I don't think that's a huge deal because obviously we have to beat a hollow one. Nettle Cyst or Lodestone can both beat a hollow one. So my opponent is going to bring back an Icarid, getting rid of the Grief, pretty free, and then goes for 5 deep and finds nothing that comes back, but a couple more Dredgers. So this is a good sign, because if my opponent didn't have anything before, do they have any bridges? No bridges. I'll just take the 7. Yeah. And then we'll get, we'll make a mana, get a Grafdigger's Cage, and play a Nettle Cyst, or even a Lodestone. Yo! What is up, Honor? Thank you for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Welcome, everybody. We are playing some vintage aggro workshops. No Ravagers, but some main deck Null Rods instead. Just gonna play it through a league and see how it goes. So let's see what we draw. Put a Saga trigger on the stack, float some mana, and get some graveyard hate. Unless they have a Vigor. I don't think they do at this point. So here, I can float mana. I can get a Grafdigger's Cage, which should stop all this shenanigans. They didn't have a second Bazaar, or they would have played it, so I don't really feel like we need to get Needle. The main deck Grafdigger's Cage. All praise Urza. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So I could go Sphere Lodestone. True statement? No. So I make this. I would have 0 mana left over. And then I would have 4 mana. And I could play a Nettle Cyst. I guess that's still worth it. Because now I can't get Vigored after this resolves. Okay, they have a Force. But now, you know, my Nettle Cyst doesn't get forced. So yeah, this worked out pretty well. And this is a 4-4 right now, but it will be a 5-5 later. I could even just trade it off. It's not a huge deal because it's an equipment. It could go onto this Serpent after. Does block Icarid. I mean, this looks like as good a start as you're going to get, really. I feel like this trade is fine. It's probably not even necessary, but my opponent should be thoroughly locked out with just this Cage in play. And once I play Lodestone, they can't even Vigor. So getting a game 1 win versus Dredge, that is a pretty compelling reason to want to play this deck. So Tabernacle comes in versus Dredge. They can't pay for their creatures. Ghost Quarter as another Wasteland comes in versus Dredge. Additional Cages, additional Relics, and then Ravenous Trap. Wow, okay. Kanister was prepared, but I guess you have a lot of cards that are dead in the matchup, so you know, it makes sense. You have like Chalices, you have Null Rods. Metamorph is usually not great. You can even play, even like Wormcoil and Crucible are both fine in this matchup. Sometimes you bring in Wormcoil Engine. I don't know if we're going to be bringing in Wormcoil Engine just because I don't know what we're going to be taking out. Don't hate this. I guess Revokers are still pretty bad too, huh? Okay, so yeah, we'll take out the Revokers and we'll bring in Wormcoils. I mean, that's a solid 11 card sideboard in a matchup that I didn't think was that bad in general. You have to contend with Force of Vigor. It is a big deal, but it's not unplayable. Like, you don't even typically need spheres, but it seems reasonable to protect against Vigor. All right, that's a big board plan, but I guess that kind of happens when you play 4 Null Rods in the main. If the Null Rods have no targets, then you're gonna have a decent number of cards to bring in. That is something I'm worried about with this configuration. I'll have to see what happens when we play against like a fair blue deck that is not playing artifacts. We'll have to see how the mapping goes. I'm sure Kanister's put good work into the mapping. Here I have a Tabernacle, Wasteland, a Strip Mine. I mean, this is a keep. I have a lot of hate. I mean, Dredge is a big player in the metagame right now. Dredge had 4 of the 8 top 8s on Saturday. Or maybe it was the Saturday before last. One of the recent Saturdays, Dredge placed 4 out of 8 top 8. And there was only 6 Dredge pilots in the tournament. So that means 4 of the 6 Dredge pilots in the tournament top 8'd. And the finals was Dredge versus Dredge. So crazy. Powerful deck. Let's definitely just start off here with a nice Wasteland. Get this Bazaar out of here. Yeah, we could even Serpent away their bridge. No need to do that when they don't have another creature in their graveyard. If they had another creature in their graveyard... Oh, okay. Maybe I should have done that. I haven't played this in a while, so definitely point out sequencing errors like that. I wonder if we were supposed to. The biggest problem with a Serpent on 0 to crack bridges is, like, I'm probably playing a Tabernacle anyways, so it doesn't really seem super relevant. But yeah, here they're going to grief my hand and then get a zombie because grief is going to die, which is pretty sweet. I assume they're just going to take this thorn so that they can... Are they going to take this thorn? I guess they'll probably take the thorn. Kind of interesting. So I have interesting problems as well. I don't really want to play City of Traders because I need to be able to have mana to pay for my Tabernacle. What did they take? They took the Stone Coil, so I didn't break the bridge. Interesting. I'd like to just draw like a... okay. Interesting. So yeah, I think I'm going to play Strip Mine Relic, and then next turn I can play... I think like Strip Mine Relic, and then next turn I play City Thorn to protect from Vigor, and then I can just like start deploying everything. But maybe I could just play City Thorn now, and then I could play... I don't know. I don't really want to lose my city. I don't think that's strong. I have so much time. They're just gonna force the relic? Sure, don't care. I mean, they'll probably have to force the thorn if they didn't, so maybe it's fine. So I guess here they can bring back the Icarid and get a second zombie, but I can always kill any zombies on board, so I don't even care. I should probably kill them before they play a Wasteland of their own, though. I wonder. Because I can play Inspector Thorn this turn, which is probably just better. The only thing that like this makes me sad is if they just play a Wasteland. But I guess I have a Strip Mine, so I don't actually have to be worried about a Wasteland on Tabernacle. I can't lose this game. My deck seems really strong against Dredge. I have just so much hate. I don't have to block because I'm just going to Tabernacle them. Yeah, I mean, it's probably, yeah, it's fine. I didn't have to use this Strip Mine, apparently, because I have a Foundry Inspector that I forgot about. I definitely can't pay for both of my creatures here, but I think I'm okay with just paying for a Lodestone. Maybe I'm not supposed to play a creature so that I don't have to pay for it. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure as long as you wipe their board and you have a Thorn, like, I don't know how I could ever lose. Even if they drew a Bazaar, it just doesn't seem feasible for them to come back here. I'm not really thrilled with the sequencing I took in this game. It's possible I was supposed to break that bridge with a Stonecoil Serpent, and then the lands were an interesting sequencing. But we just had so many pieces of hate, Dredge could really never fight through it. All right. Round 2, Vintage League up against Ian Marsh. Ian plays a variety of decks. Here we're on the play with a hand that deploys most of the things, if not all the things. So, shall we deploy the things? So let's think about this for a second. The earlier we play Foundry Inspector, the more cards we can play. But the earlier we play Thorn, the earlier our things are uncounterable. So we could go Workshop. We could go Emerald, Workshop, Inspector, Soul Ring. And then we have 3 mana. Thorn down to 2 mana, but then Nettlecyst is 3. So if we want to play everything, we have to expose ourselves to Vigor, unless I'm miscounting. Workshop, Inspector, 0 mana. Mox, Soul Ring, 3 mana. Nettlecyst, 1 mana. Thorn, 0 mana. I think that's probably acceptable. How many decks run Vigor in the main? Enough. Every Bazaar deck, some green decks, or every green deck, which is a non-negligible portion of the metagame, but I think deploying everything is worth the risk. It's a mix of Vigor and Force of Will, right? All right, well, everything resolved, and my opponent was pretty quick on the trigger. Let's see what happens. I played 8 power. My opponent's spells cost 1 more, and I have a Wasteland. So I'm going to name Black Lotus. And then I'm going to swing for 9. And I could Wasteland them just to keep them off an additional mana. I think that's actually acceptable based on the amount of damage I have on board. I guess they could technically Vigor my creatures right now. I will obviously lose both my lands for 1 land of my opponent's, but it's kind of just a tempo play. I have lethal on the table. So the only way this play is particularly bad is if they have Vigor. So if I just wait until their turn, then they can't cast Vigor on my turn, and then we should just win, I would think. Okay, so I wonder, I think they're probably a green deck. Another Inspector is not even bad. Definitely going to play this pre-combat just because it pumps my Nettlecyst in case they... I mean, I don't really know what would hurt me, but... Like, I can get Vigored, and it looks like I am going to get Vigored. I will lose my Nettlecyst and my Inspector, and I will still have 5 power, and they'll be at 8. It's interesting if they have Vigor that they didn't play on my end step last turn. I really don't know. I don't think there was a way I could have played around this better. So they're going to hit the Thorn, pitching Renin 6 and the Nettlecyst. And they're going to take 5, and there's still lethal on the table. Looks like we're playing against Jund. That is something that Ian likes to brew. So now they don't have, like, land Renin 6 kill this. See, I think my opponent got a little greedy, but maybe they had to. I don't know what's in their hand. Like, they could have technically hit Inspector Nettlecyst, and they would have only taken 2, and it wouldn't have lethal on the table. Would have bought them another turn. Not sure what's in their hand, though. Maybe they, like, really needed to play a spell, so Thorn was stopping that. So the news is my opponent's not on Force of Vigor. Or not, that's not true. My opponent is not on Force of Will. They're probably on 4 Force of Vigor. The good news is we have these to board out, which is sweet. And then we can board in Wormcoil Engines, Crucibles of Worlds, maybe a Ghost Quarter. Could technically board in Relic for red and 6. We shouldn't need a Cage against Jund. A Needle does sound good. I'm surprised there's only 1 Needle in the 75. I typically like to play more than 1 Needle. Not sure. Stone Coil should be reasonable. This should be good. These should be good. Chalice is probably not even that good. Especially, well, I could Chalice on 1 for Lightning Bolt and Deathrite. Maybe it's still fine. It's probably still okay. I would suspect they have multiple basics on Jund. Or at least a basic. So I'm going to just go Crucibles and Wormcoils in for Null Rod and Cage. And that seems very reasonable to me here. Yeah, let's do that. So there's your answer. Like Null Rod matchup, a non-Null Rod matchup, Wormcoils and Crucible. I mean, that probably is true. That probably covers most fair non-Null Rod decks. I guess not DAC decks is something I would be concerned about. This hand's sweet. If we go turn 1 Trinisphere and then turn 2 Crucible Strip Mine. That does beat turn 1 Trinisphere. Huh. So I don't want this to flip, so I need to play a spell this turn. Yeah, I mean, Wormcoil is not terrible versus the white fair decks, but you're right, it's not good. I think I do have to just play this Crucible so that this thing doesn't become a Trigon Predator. Like, if I played Saga Go, it would just murder my thing. And I'm trying to bait for the Crucible. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm supposed to be baiting with the Trinisphere and not the Crucible. It's possible that's true. But I mean, Dark Confidant, huh? Interesting. Well, that's a really strong draw. I do want to continue playing spells. I think I'm just going to go Trinisphere Wasteland. They drew Force of Vigor. And then I'm sure they're going to flip this Outland Liberator. I guess I can't even stop them from flipping Outland Liberator. That's kind of a nightmare, right? Can I flip it back? Very, very difficult to flip it back with my deck through a Trinisphere. I guess technically if they play nothing and they flip their Outland Liberator and I draw a creature, I could play Workshop and play them both. No. Okay. In that case... I should really fix that message. I don't know how to, though. In that case, we probably need to... God, how do we come out from behind a... All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play... So if I play Saga, it could get killed. But to flip this back, I need to play Traxos Crucible next turn. So maybe I just play Wasteland and hold everything and then go for the flip after they kill my Trinisphere. And then they have a Vigor. I needed to draw something that costs between 0 and 3 mana, also known as 3 mana, so I could play them both and flip back this Outland Liberator. That's such a brutal card. Wow. It's really, really strong. I guess I could play a Traxos, and then they can only kill 1 and then shoot. They probably won't shoot 1. They probably want to keep this in play. And then they'll probably just hit this and then Vigor me. That's so bad. That's so bad for me. All right, I'm going to play this and pass, I guess. I don't know how I'm supposed to beat this card. Trigun Predator strikes in the year 2022. Kind of messed up. They hit my Crucible. Okay, well, the good news is they hit my Crucible. Oh, and they have a Wasteland. No, I was going to say the good news is now I can play 2 spells, but they also had a Wasteland, so I can't play 2 spells, even if I draw something. Ooh. Never mind. Oh, no, because I don't have another 3-drop. Wait, no, this is a 3-drop. Okay, wait. We have it. We go Workshop. Now I will die to my Mana Crypt, but at least I am not getting Trigun Predatored anymore, I guess. That is not exactly a glowing recommendation, but I'm gonna go. That's not a very strong play. I have to draw probably. I don't even know. I don't really know. I think we're gonna die. Worm Coil, maybe? Is that even gonna be good enough? Are they gonna? Okay, they shot my Trinisphere. Okay, so now they have Vigor and Assassin's Trophy. Okay, well. Yeah, and Tarmogoyf. Okay, so now I probably need to draw Worm Coil and win all my flips, I would think. All right, I immediately lost a flip after saying win all my flips. So unfortunately, I know they have a Force of Vigor. So typically this play should work, but it's not going to work. Man, Force of Vigor, Outland Liberator. What's this 2021 card bullshit? It's so broken. Just let me play Workshops. I actually drew Revoker, which is pretty good against Outland Liberator, but a hair too late, it seems. Maybe they don't have a green card. I say as I know they have Assassin's Trophy. All right. I should probably look and see what their flip is, but besides that, we basically got completely annihilated by turn 1 Outland Liberator. It would have been maybe more playable if we had drawn more spells earlier, but yeah, that was kind of brutal. This is Kazali Pride means that flips into Outland Liberator or flips into Trigon Predator if you do nothing, which is quite strong. Ooh, here's a fun play. Yeah, I mean this seems fine. It's not great, but I think we just go Ancient Tomb, Revoker, Saga Crucible, or Saga Nettlecyst. Seems fine. We're gonna probably revoke Deathrite Shaman. This is the most common card that they could have. Yeah, what's up, Raphael? It's not the strongest hand. It's a very modern hand, but I mean, my whole deck is hoping to not get Vigored, right? Like, it's not like Dredge where you guys can't pay for Vigor. It's a deck that can absolutely pay the mana to play Vigor, you know? Like, my entire deck is based around the hope that my opponent doesn't play Force of Vigor on me, right? Well, I also have to hope my Saga doesn't get Vigor on the stack, but, I mean, what are we going to do? I think I would rather get my Crucible Vigor than my Nettlecyst. Probably, so... I don't know if that's actually true, but... I could easily see us losing Saga Crucible here, but that would probably be acceptable. Demonic for Force of Vigor or something else. Maybe Outland Liberator. It's probably Vigor so that they can kill my Saga before I go to my untap. Or not before my untap, before my upkeep, sorry. Before the trigger goes on the stack is what I'm trying to say. No, just Ancestral. Interesting. They went for Ancestral here. All right, maybe they'll hit Force of Vigor. Please don't. Yeah, all right, well. Sad Justin. Yes, that is correct. Is it worth it trying to contain my opponent's mana at this point? Probably not. So I'm going to attack before I play this thing so I don't get vigored, I guess. Second vigored. Man, Force of Vigor is not a balanced Magic card. We'll fire some prelims, Zajad, if you want to play in prelims. Like, prelims are an easy way to get QPs, so. All right, so both of my Urza Sagas have been Force of Vigored. Remind me again why I'm playing Urza Saga. Like, what's the point? It's just a land that gets hit by Force of Vigor. It's very sad. Very sad. I don't know, man. This card has just been historically horrible for me in every instance. All right. Well, I can't play any of my spell. Okay. All right. Oh, I should definitely have not done that. Oh, they have a Ragavan, so they don't have a Force of Vigor anymore. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I have to utilize my mana. I don't know. Yeah, it's because my Dredge opponent didn't draw Force of Vigor. I mean, this Traxos is a big boy. My opponent hit a Revoker. That's kind of annoying. No, I didn't. My opponent only has one card in hand though, and they are not playing. They already used their one draw spell in their entire deck. So if I can draw Mishra's Workshop here and play a Wormcoil, I suspect I will be in good shape. That's not terrible either. Now, would I rather... Oh, I'm at 8 life. Yeah, whatever. I would rather untap this thing and get in. That was a good draw. A creature and untapping Traxos is quite good. I will willingly trade off my Revoker for Revoker if they want to do such a thing. Sure. So they're at 5. Now, do I block this monkey? I don't have that choice. Never mind. All right, I mean, I feel like if I draw a spell that I can cast, I will be able to kill them with this Traxos. Oh my god, no! How big is this Nettle Cyst going to be? I'm going to lose. All right, well, Workshop, I guess. Ruby. I guess I can still attack. They go to 3. I go to 2. No, I can't, because then they can equip the Ragavan. Oh, wait. No. Wait, is that how this works? Oh my god, they control it. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. How am I so unlucky? Why can't they just hit lands off the top of a Ragavan? Or Sphere of Resistance? I'm gonna lose to Jund. They played a Bob? Wow. Okay. So probably mana source for Wormcoil. Thorn. Can't play... I mean, I could play Thorn, but I don't think there's any good reason to. I want to be able to untap Traxos with it, maybe. But I can't attack with my Traxos, so... But I'm dead, right? Unless they hit a 5, and there are no 5s in their deck. So I needed to hit a mana source, which I didn't hit. So I'm gonna... hope they miss block or something. Yeah. I think it's a reasonable gambit here. Like if they just like block with the germ token and they go to 3, they can die. Okay, well, now I'm dead on board though. Well, we'll see if they equip their Nettlecyst or not. I needed to hit a land drop so I could play Wormcoil Engine. If I had hit a land drop or a Moxen, I would have been able to play Wormcoil Engine and it would have worked out fine. This is so sad. All right, well, we beat Dredge, the menace of the format, but no shot versus Jund, apparently. Force of Vigor, 2 broken. Honestly, I could have sequenced differently in regards to Crucible of Worlds, but I'm not sure it would have made a huge difference. I could have replayed another Urza's Saga. So if I had gone Nettlecyst and they had still played the same way... No, because I got hit by Crucible in my up. I could have gone Urza Saga, return the other... could have gone Crucible, return Saga. And then I would have had a Saga left over to block with. So yeah, maybe my sequencing lost me this game. Maybe my sequencing lost me this game. I just felt like I wanted to bait with the Crucible. It didn't feel important at the time. Interesting. Okay, here we go. Round 3, Vintage League, a powerful wizard. We have to ferry across the board. My hand doesn't function. Let's put it back. This hand does function, so we'll keep it. It's a little sus, but it's like really sus. But I mean, we could go, we have options depending on what we're playing against. We're pretty good against Dredge. We can go Saga Go against a control deck. We can hit them off on mana if we want. I don't even think it's like unplayable if Null Rod. If Null Rod does something, I think the hand's very good. If Null Rod doesn't do something, I think the hand is not great, but it still has lines. Like you're still playing decent against... That's not good. That is the one thing I was going to say we don't want to see. Because we're just on the draw versus with a not powerful hand versus a Shop's Mirror. Oh, yeah. Okay. I can go... I think the play might just be like Saga play Pearl, go, and then just go for constructs. I guess that play might get better if I start by Wastelanding. I don't know how effective a Wasteland is going to be against a Foundry Inspector, but it's possible it still is effective. Yeah, it's not the ideal hand to play the Mirror. But I think it's still, again, I think the Tomb helps a lot. The Tomb has allowed us to play maybe a Saga game plan. I guess we probably should try to focus or play around Wasteland if possible. I'm not exactly sure how we can do that, though. We might not be able to. I mean, Ravager Shops is one of the highest performing decks in the last 3 months. Or I should say Aggro Shops is one of the highest performing decks in the past 3 months. Because it's a mixture of both. And it's not even like close either. It's like the second or third best deck in the last 3 months. People, I think, mistakenly thought Golos was a better choice. And maybe it was at one point, but there were times like Ravager or Aggro Shops was being played like 4 times in an entire month. But, holy shit, really? Since Modern Horizons 2 has been printed, Aggro Shops has a 53.7% win rate. Since November of 2021, Aggro Shops has a 55% win rate. That's all. That's just just to let you know, the highest win rate of the most played, like, PO is the highest win rate deck among heavy. Well, no, actually. Breach is the highest win rate deck since Modern Horizons 2, followed by Ravager Shops, followed by PO, followed by Tinker and 8's. And if you go just starting from November, the highest performing deck is Breach, followed by Aggro Shops, followed by Dredge. So, not only are people playing Shops now, it's also performing extremely well. Which is why we're streaming it. I gotta see what's up. What's up? I don't know where our opponent went, but it looks like our opponent is currently triple queuing a Ravnica cube draft and a vintage cube draft, as well as their vintage league. So not one match of Magic, not two matches of Magic, 3 full matches of Magic. So we just have to wait till they come back. Vintage cube is gone. Okay, well, maybe MTG Bot's lying to me. Yeah, I mean, I think the Restrict Doomsday movement died. Like, Doomsday seems to be a pretty balanced deck in the current metagame. I still think it's like a very unfun deck, but that's in my... For me, my restriction criteria, unfun is not part of it. So I can't really make a pitch to ban Doomsday anymore, as it's no longer a heavily played deck. So actually, the Wasteland was there on their workshop, may have been their only land. They may still be sandbagging a Wasteland, but I think it's worth it to get the Saga going. If we can get a Construct, I feel like that would be a big win. If this gets Wastelanded, our follow-up play is like maybe Metamorph and Spectre, though that costs 4 life to do, so it's possible that's not a great play. If they play nothing, or like another Revoker, we can just go Wasteland, make a token. Definitely don't make sure I do not get a Black Lotus off of this Phyrexian Revoker, or off of this Saga if we get to that point. Probably need a Soul Ring. Where is that notification? Oh, right there. Okay. It doesn't make for the greatest stream content when my opponent triple Qs, but you know, you win some, you lose some. I would talk about something relevant if there was anything relevant to talk about, but we're kind of playing an Aggro Shops mirror here, so not as much nuance, though the attacking and blocking can be pretty good if both sides have creatures. I don't currently have a creature, so that doesn't help. Let's think. Thank you, Unicorn Paradise, for the 15-month resub. Much appreciated. I guess something that's interesting is that if we play a Wasteland and make a Construct, our Construct is a 2/2, would we block with our Construct? And the answer to that question has got to be no, if we can help it, because our Constructs will greatly outsize our opponent's creatures if given enough time. A thing to note is that if we play our Null Rod, my opponent will have 0 active mana, though we will also lose our Pearl. Well, Construct will be a 2/2 to start, because there's a Construct and a Pearl. And then it can become a 4/4 if we make another Construct and tutor off of Saga. That's what I'm mostly talking about, is if we wait in one turn, it will be bigger than both my opponent's creatures. If I'm wanting to get into Vintage, what are the main things to learn about the format? Well, if you want to learn about the decks, I have a great video for you. Some guy named I'm actually level 1, never heard of him, probably a whiner, made a 2-hour-long video. Oh, shut up, other Justin. About the decks in Vintage before Eternal Weekend, which was in November. The decks haven't changed a huge amount since November. So you can take a look there. That's a good one. So it's, if you just go to my YouTube channel, it's the main video there. I don't know when the next one I will do for that is. I think the next time they schedule a Vintage PTQ, I will probably do another Everything About Vintage. Maybe a smaller version that just goes over the decks that are currently being played instead of how to play them. I'm not sure. I don't really know what the best cadence for... Or is cadence the right word there? The best schedule for releasing metagame updates is. Like, I don't know how, like, it very much varies on how important a metagame update is. Like, interval. Like, if, like, you could say, oh, you should do one every set release, but not every set release matters. And you could say, oh, you should do one every showcase, but then you have one showcase a month. And I don't think the metagame changes very much. All right, so the biggest problem now, and there are multiple problems, is that everything is a huge problem. Everything is a huge problem. So I could go Ancient Tomb, Foundry Inspector. No, that doesn't do it. Everything is a problem. So now I probably have to block with my construct. But my opponent just gets to eat. I was hoping I could go like Foundry Inspector, Metamorph Inspector, Null Rod or something. But it doesn't seem possible. So I think I'm still stuck on make a construct, though I might have to block now. The Null Rod is actually going to be pretty good in this matchup, which is funny. This is a non-land permanent. Whatever, I'll just make this thing. All right, so my opponent had a lot to cast off of their one emerald. I could have turned this emerald off, but it seemed like a bad play. Unfortunately, I will not be able to make 2 constructs. Shouldn't I just block this Ravager? If I block this Ravager and they eat Thorn Emerald, does that free me? If I don't block, I take 6 and I go to 6. I could take as much as 9. I don't get to make another construct. I get to make 1 mana, Soul Ring, 3 mana, 4 mana, maybe 5 mana. And I could play Inspector, Null Rod, maybe. It's pretty bad. Because I don't think I have enough life. If I just block Revoker on Lotus, my opponent probably trades. I take very little damage, and I can get a Lotus, which will give me 4, 6 mana, maybe. Could even give me blue mana. It's kind of an interesting idea. And if they eat, then I have another I have a construct still. That's an interesting idea to get an additional mana. I don't know if that's good, but it is the choice I went with. Could also just Needle Ravager now. But then I have 4 mana. Wow, they didn't eat in response. Should I Needle Ravager? The problem is I don't... Well, if I Needle Ravager and I play Ancient Tomb Lodestone, that blocks non-inspectors. I go to 6 and then to 5. And then I don't have any mana, which is not great. I could go Soul Ring, which will give me 3, 4, 6 mana right now. Inspector, go to 4. Revoker is free. Inspector, go to 4. Revoker is free. And Null Rod is 1. Yeah. That could work. That could work. And then I could even play Lodestone on the next turn. So I go Soul Ring is 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Inspector is 3 mana remaining. 1 mana remaining, 4 life. Free Revoker. 1 mana Null Rod. Yeah, that might work. Inspector. No, I think I was a lot short. Maybe I should have gotten Lotus to save 2 life. I don't know. But the Ravager will be turned off. Oh, they just F6'd, so that's pretty bad for them. I mean, this is a favorable board position for me, right? I don't think my opponent's paying very much attention. I don't need to keep my Revoker around because I have a Null Rod. That's a fucking draw. Excuse my language there. Kind of the nut high. I didn't need to play that pre-combat, but whatever. It's faster. All right, so I guess I win this game. I don't feel that my opponent played optimally, but yeah, I can go to 2 here because they're Null Rodded. Null Rod looks good. Null Rod looks real good. Literally can't die because Null Rod exists. All right, well, yeah, I don't know exactly what happened from my opponent's side of the table, but the Null Rod looked good. Our hand was kind of miserable, so that's a big W. My opponent should definitely not F6 through a Revoker there. You may need to at least eat your Thorn and maybe even your Emerald. All right, so here I like the idea of bringing in Wormcoil Engine. It's possible the idea of Crucible is good. It's possible the idea of Ghost Quarter is good. Cage seems poor. Spheres and Thorn and on the draw are pretty poor. Null Rod on the draw, or Third Sphere on the draw is not that great. Chalice on the draw is not that great. I'll have to keep some of them. I guess we will keep in Trinisphere and a Sphere. Kind of awkward. Sure, why not? Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see the Null Rod just being very good in this format right now. As a main deck answer to a lot of decks. I mean, sure. Am I supposed to mulligan? Like, that seems fine. Wow, they kept in spheres? I'm like pretty down with that. Feel like I'm now like advantaged. Oh, wow. So I could go Ancient Tomb, Soul Ring, Jet. Or I could just go Saga Jet and make them have a Wasteland immediately. I kind of like that better. Or I could just Wasteland them. The downside of Wastelanding them is if they just follow up with a Workshop. But maybe that's worth it. No, I feel like maybe I should hold these for Sagas. I feel like if I just go Saga Jet, that puts me in the best position. Because my opponent has to Wasteland this, or I'm just going to start pumping out Constructs. Well, they have a Workshop, so I'm pretty happy I didn't Wasteland, I think. What is this going to be? Stonecoil? Oh, Ballista. Yeah, I don't care about a Ballista, right? So I guess I can't Wasteland now, which is a problem. But I do have just like play Wasteland, get a Soul Ring. I wish I could do like Inspector, but yeah, this is fine. Like this is a 3/3. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. It's a weird game. But I mean, Wasteland. So they did find a Wasteland. I wonder if they drew Wasteland off the top or they opted to play Wasteland. So now aren't I winning here? You Wasteland my Saga. I have a bigger blocker than you, and then I Wasteland both your things. You're locked underneath your spheres. I win. I don't like the way my opponent is playing. I'm not an expert by any means. I am definitely not a shops expert, but I think I just attack because I'm currently winning the race. I don't think you're supposed to keep in spheres if you can help it. I hate spheres in this matchup. Wow, they had a follow-up tomb. Okay. I mean, we have follow-up cards as well, though. That's a good one. I don't need to play it right away. I wonder if I should protect myself from Wasteland, or should I just save 2 life? Saving 2 life seems better. This costs 5. I'm not going to play my Serpent. It's better to hold the Serpent. I can't play my Serpent anyways, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I could play it for 0. But I'm like, yeah. I mean, 1 Construct just easily won this race. Why would you want to play Mystic Forward with a 2 Spheres of Resistance in play? The race is all that matters here. I guess Mystic Forge now, after I play another Inspector for 5, I still can't play it. Never mind. I think the answer here is a dummy huge Stonecoil Serpent, right? While things cost 1 less. Yeah, I'll just play a 7/7. Good luck. Second Inspector first? I don't think that's good. I have to use 5 mana to play the Inspector, and then I get a 3/3 Stonecoil, which is so much worse. Right now, I'm threatening lethal. Okay, I really like the way we played that game. I don't think I like the way my opponent played that game, but I don't know what was in my opponent's hand, so I can't really judge. But that's a pretty big dub for Null Rod in game 1. So the Mad Lad strikes again. All right, here we go. round 4. For the YouTubers, having Twitch chat decide what I'm eating for dinner, and currently they have a exactly tie in the poll. They are not deciding anything for me. They are useless. Anyways, let's play round 4, and we'll figure out the dinner thing after. We are playing against Purple Gambit, and I have a hand that includes some creatures and wastelands. I don't know if this is technically a keepable hand in 2022 Vintage. In past years, you could probably get away with this hand. I don't know if I can get away with this hand because I have like Workshop, Soul Ring, Inspector, or Workshop, Soul Ring, Revoker. But like if my opponent is doing anything powerful, I will probably lose. I do have Bazaar covered, which is an upside. You know what? Let's find out together for science. Maybe it's more of a consideration if I know what my opponent's playing, which I don't. I don't know what my opponent's playing. So we'll see. We'll see what they have for. All right, that's a Revoker target. That's a good start. And a Wasteland. So now we have an interesting choice of, do we actually... Okay, well, now we don't have an interesting choice. We're going to Wasteland this Saga. Oh my god, we're going to die. Okay, yes, all right. I can't let this Saga go off. So I think I just have to let the Ragavan hit me. There's a bunch of bad cards for Ragavan to hit, like Sphere Resistance. I'm surprised my opponent didn't dash this Ragavan. I don't think we can give them a construct. I don't think so. I could be wrong. I mean, we could play our whole hand, but we could also play our whole hand next turn. You Twitch chat! Come on. This is ridiculous. I can't even narrow it down. Like, it's not even like 2 of them were tied. It's not even like 2 of them were... This is... Twitch chat. Oh, what the heck just happened? My opponent played another Saga and have a Needle on Wasteland. Ooh. All right. Vomit time. Oh, no. Inspector. Please resolve. Please resolve. Soul Ring. Please resolve. Please resolve. I guess we go... Yeah, we have to go Revoker and Null Rod, I guess. I guess we could go Null Rod Sphere. I guess we should just go Null Rod first, assuming they have no Force of Will. Maybe... I don't think we would have baited a Force of Will with a Revoker, though, right? So in this case, this gives us the out of play. Yeah, okay. So now we can just go... Well, I might even still play Revoker because I want to block Monkey. Actually, do I care about blocking Monkey? I don't care about blocking Monkey. So then I'm going to play Sphere then. Wait, are we winning now? Null Rod is so good. Wow. This is impressive. This makes me very scared to play PO in this upcoming showcase. They even hit Needle Wasteland. Maybe I was supposed to vomit the board on turn 1. I don't know. I think I would have lost to a construct token, Karate. Like, this construct token would... Oh, they're just done. They're done. Ship it. Put it back. Urza Saga. Who gives a shit? Card's garbage. Oh, my God. Ragavan, Urza Saga, don't care. They do nothing. So, honest to God, this league, in 4 rounds, Null Rod has been unbeatable, and Saga has been so bad. Who could have seen this coming? Not I. Not I. All right, so my opponent is probably on Ragavan Tinker. What do we bring in? Nothing? Are we pre-boarded? I would assume we are pre-boarded because Ragavan Tinker is a large portion of the metagame. I believe we are currently pre-boarded. Yeah, Ghost Quarter seems reasonable. Is Ghost Quarter even that good if we're not bringing in Crucible of Worlds, though? No! Did you see what happened when we played against you on Jund? And both my lands were destroyed by Force of Vigor? I'm not making your Jund deck better by telling people to play unplayable enchantment lands. Are we not interested in Crucible? No, I don't think we're interested in Crucible. I mean, what do you think Crucible is better than, I guess, is my question. Because I can't find a card that Crucible is currently better than. Recurring Saga doesn't really feel like the way I'm going to win the game. Like, if my opponent deals with my creatures, they're going to deal with them with a Hurkyl's Recall, right? Cage is, like, pretty good to have against Tinker. I don't think cutting Cage is correct. Like, I'm not opposed to bringing in Crucible or Ghost Quarter. I just don't really see where you're going to get it. Maybe instead of Stonecoil Serpent, you can bring in Crucible and Ghost Quarter. Because my opponent's not playing multicolored spells. They just die to Shattering Spree and get bounced. That's not unreasonable. Maybe we'll just play one. That seems fine. I guess you could even play Relic or Cage. I wouldn't play Relic, but maybe I don't really want a second Cage, but this looks better. Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Yeah. That seems reasonable. All right. Well, I wonder if this is the player from the Discord who's been trying to learn Grixis Tinker. I don't know. Not sure. Cage also beats Citadel Tinker. Or sorry, Tinker Citadel. This hand's kind of sweet. I'm gonna keep it. It has 3 workshops. How bad can it be? May I? It's a good Forge hand. Cage beats Citadel because you can't cast spells from your library. So, Cage stops creatures from coming in off of Tinker and stops Citadel from casting spells. I mean, they could still like bounce your Cage and kill you, but that's always the case, right? Wonder if I'm just getting dacked here. I guess it's better than my Forge getting dacked. I think they have a Force of Will, which makes me kind of want to try to bait before I play this Forge. Or is this just Tinker? This might be good for me. I have my 1 Metamorph. So are they going to go Citadel with no land drops? Oh boy! And then I started blasting. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attack and lower their life total. And then I'm going to play a second Inspector. And I'm going to have 4 mana. And I can play a Mystic Forge as a bait. And then slam Metamorph on Citadel. This costs 1 mana. This costs 2 mana. And I will have 4 mana. So I could even... I'm interested that they went for Tinker Citadel with no land drop to give here. I wonder if they had a Sphinx or a Blightsteel. I don't know if we actively do it better. Like, we can hit Sphere Resistance, and it's quite bad for us, but I think I'm going to try to bait. If they counter this, I can still play Metamorph. If they counter Forge, I will still be able to play Metamorph. So I think they have a Force of Will. I think they had turn 2 Tinker with Force of Will backup, and I want to try to bait this Force of Will if I can possibly help it. So this is my bait. It's a good bait. Baiting. Oh, wow, that just resolved. Okay, well, I'll cast this for free. I will name Black Lotus. Maybe I shouldn't name Black Lotus because I have Black Lotus in my deck. Maybe I should name Dak Faden or something. All right, I have a Jet. So now I have 2 mana Traxos, 1 mana Metamorph. Sure. I don't know how many... I don't know how much life I want, or spells, or what is the word? I don't know how much mana I need if they like hit a sphere and want to play a second sphere. Maybe I should just activate this Forge first. Let's just Forge first. All right, unfortunate. I don't know if like paying 2 mana for a Traxos is going to come back and bite me. I guess I could technically get dazed. I would have gotten dazed in the beginning. So if I play this, I'll have 2 mana. If I hit a sphere, I can cast it for free. A second sphere, I can cast it. So this would stop me from casting Sphere. I don't think I need the Traxos. So I'm just going to cast Metamorph as a Citadel. Oh, wait. I don't shuffle. Oh, fuck. Well, what can I have done? I could have made a second Forge. And I guess I could have made a second Forge. All right. Well, that was a mistake. That was I kind of am. You want to know the reason? Because it's funny. It's a funny reason. I'm so used to Citadel coming in play with Tinker and that it would shuffle my library. And so this whole time I was like, all right, I'll keep going and then I'll shuffle my library when I get my Citadel. All right. Well, I have to hope my opponent bricks off here. It's possible. They are playing a Saga deck, which are notoriously bad at using Citadel. See what happens. I don't know. Was I supposed to do this? This just gets Hercules and I die. Well, maybe I don't die. Maybe I can go again. I assume there's at least a Hercules in their deck that they can tutor for, right? No? Wow. There's no Hercules in this deck. Imagine I lose to Volkey after all this. Maybe I should have named Volkey. Okay, there's a Hercules. Oh, it was in their hand already. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Time Twister? No? All right, well, my opponent's at 6. And I have about 1 million mana. So I could probably still win this game. All right. So Workshop, Inspector, Metamorph. And just hope the Metamorph resolves on Citadel. I guess I don't need to do... I can play a Wasteland. So if I hit like Sphere and I don't play a land drop, I could like Wasteland and Sphere and protect myself from Force of Will, but then I would have to have played Mystic Forge first. I'm just trying to think. We do have enough mana to not play Workshop first. We also could be like hitting this Volk so we don't get lightning bolted. Do I need to play around Daze with the Jet? Maybe. I really think it's kind of silly to play Daze in this deck with Saga, but it's definitely a card they could have one of. Yeah, we should probably play Jet first. Yeah. What is the upside? I don't know. I think Jet was supposed to be played first. So I'm just trying to think of a way that we can protect our Metamorph, but I can't really think of one. Yeah, I mean, this would mean our second one doesn't get Mindbreak trapped. I'm just gonna play this, I think, and hope it resolves. We still have the option of forging, so I assume this gets. Oh, what about, is this game 1? No, this is game 2, right? So we're not gonna get Pyroblasted. Okay, so here. Oh, they forced off the top of their library to 1 life. I don't have a Ballista in my deck though. Okay. Okay. Really? 10-minute queue fence? I haven't had that bad queues tonight. My queues have been pretty good. I think as long as we revoke Time Vault and play a Traxos, I feel pretty good about this. But I'm gonna play Forge because I think Forge gives me the highest chance of winning. I'm gonna start with Forge. I shouldn't get count. Oh, the top card of my library was the Sphere. So I could have beat. Could I have won? No, because I had to use my Workshop. Never mind. Okay, so I guess I will go Traxos, Revoker, Sphere. Is there any reason to not? I mean, they can easily have another Hercules, have a Chattering Spree. It's a lot of things. So just name Time Vault. I was just seeing if there was any reason to play Revoker then Traxos. Don't think there is. I'm gonna play Time Vault just to play around the off chance they have Voltaic Key as well as Manifold Key. Trinisphere. I see. Oh, I can't play any more spells this turn anyway, so I can just wait. This Traxos might just do it. Oh, now they can go Time Walk Saga. That might help. 3-ball and Sphere don't really work super well together. Unless the thing costs more than 3. This could still be a win. Another example of Saga Citadel decks being bad at using Citadel. I don't know. Everyone always tells me these things don't matter, but it happens again and again whenever I see it. Saga dying to Vigor, Saga preventing Citadel, Citadel decks not being able to win the game in one turn, causing them to lose the game. I think it's important that your deck be built to function with Citadel. Did my opponent just pay 3 mana for their dig when they could have exiled an additional card instead? So they did have Manifold Key, but they're dead, so... Wow. If we didn't have Ravager, we would have lost. Yeah, Citadel fails again. I really don't like these Grixis Saga Tinker decks. I think they're too clunky. Oh, they played Emerald. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. To be fair, they probably would have also lost if they got Sphinx or Blightsteel. So... Well, no, they would have beat... if they had gotten Blightsteel, they would have won because they would have just... Well, I don't know if they would have found Hurkyl's Recall, but it was in their hand, so they might have found Hurkyl's Recall. Hard to say without knowing their contents of their hand. This deck looks good. This deck looks very good. I don't think I'm playing super optimally, but I'm definitely murdering everyone who's not playing Jund. All right, here we go. 5th final round of this Vintage League. We're currently 3-1, beating every deck besides Jund in a 2-0 fashion. We've got Travis across the table. Travis is a rug connoisseur, who plays 2 main deck energy fluxes. So that could be problematic. We'll see what happens. Oh boy, 2 Null Rods, but I have turn 1 no. Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping this hand. This is a mold of 5, but it's a very good mold of 5. So Lodestone is legitimately just that good. It's definitely worth keeping the hand for it. They have the Force. Pitching Narset. Next turn we can play Nettle Cyst Wasteland. I'm not sure we want a Null Rod in case we need to re-equip, but we might just to make it bigger. Don't think our deck can feasibly really beat an Energy Flux. I guess if we have one big creature that we have an Academy, or I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe we Atraxos can beat an Energy Flux. It's possible. Maybe everybody just who's main decking Energy Fluxes is just correct. All right, I had no Rod target. I'll take it. Tarmogoyf. Okay. This is an interesting series. All right, we'll turn off Daze. And then Inspector. I think I want to just play everything out instead of playing Null Rod here. Give us one more turn with full mana. I don't think it matters too much that my opponent has an Emerald in play. Like, it's not accelerating them to Flux right now, so... Strip Mine. It does kind of make my Null Rod plan worse. And my opponent's keen to sit back and not attack with their Goyf. I could equip my Nettle Cyst onto my Inspector, which would make it a 6/5. Interesting. Okay. This is a very very risky line, but we got to attack. Mishra's Factory used to win against Flux. Just another weakness of Saga. Damn, too true. They have no follow-up land? Oh, they do have a follow-up land. Ren and 6. Ren and 6 Strip Mine lock me. Well, that's not great for the home team. I also lost another flip. So I can play Forge. The question is, do I even want to play Forge? Or do I just want to play Null Rod, attack my opponent for 8? I do have an Inspector, so playing Forge is good. But I don't have 2 creatures anymore. And I will put myself near lethal. I think I'm supposed to play Forge. I don't know. If I play 2 Null Rods here, they go to 5. They can attack and make me go on a flip to a mana crypt flip for the game. But if they don't, then they chumping. I'm gonna flip the game. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Monkey business. Glad I didn't play Forge. That would have been bad. All right. Should have won more flips. Rug, and we couldn't win the game 1. This doesn't look good for the home team. Warden Worms versus the Dak Baden deck is not typically how you play this matchup. I think with no Arcbound Ravager, you're not allowed to board in Worms against a Dak Baden deck. Don't they play 3 Daks? Travis 8427. Rug Control, 2nd place, Vintage Challenge, 2 Dak Fadens. This one had no energy fluxes in the main. That was nice of them. 2 fluxes, 2 oof, lightning bolts, claim, needle. I don't think Dax are good. Or I don't think Wormcoil is good. I think I'd rather play Relic. Maybe Wormcoil is just better than Relic. Maybe having 1 Relic is fine and 1 Wormcoil. That's funny. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try this. No Ravager to be able to eat Wormcoil in response to a Dak activation is like a downside. I know that Kanister jokes about Ravager is just a 2 mana 1/1, but it has a lot of synergy. Obviously not with Nettlesis, but this hand's very, very bad. Mulligan. This hand has turn 1 3 ball. So I could theoretically go Tomb. And I probably should for Saga. Oh, I'm mulliganing. Do I keep 1 sphere in case I get countered? Yes. All right, would you like to play Magic this game? No. Sweet. All right, this game, Saga should be pretty good unless it gets wastelanded. Okay, well now Saga, because I put back my tomb. Oh, I have a soul ring. Never mind, we're good. Oh wow, that was a good draw. Maybe maybe they have all lands and an energy flux. This should definitely win the game. Wow, double wasteland, all right. These days are way too lonely. I think this should still win the game. I made my own hollow one, you know? No, dash is part of casting. You have to pay 3. Oh, I accidentally skipped my combat step there. Whoops. No, I'm gonna hold the wasteland. I did not mean to skip my combat step, if anyone was wondering. I went to hit F2, and I think I hit F... Well, I don't know what the hell I did, but it was bad. Doesn't actually matter. It might matter if they had, like, 3 fetches. Or if they had 2 fetches, it would have mattered. But they had a triple wasteland hand. Obviously, I lose my workshop, but it stops them from casting spells, so... Oh, boy. So they should have been at 1 here, and they wouldn't have been able to fetch. So definitely could have lost that game because of that misclick. All right, so all it takes to win is play turn 1 Trinisphere. Fair, fair. A fun and balanced gameplay was had. It was a killer start. Like a resolved Trinisphere with a Soul Ring and a Saga after they wasteland my tomb is like... Sheesh. Is this a keepable hand? I don't think so. No, I don't think this is keepable. Needs to be stronger. Stronger has been called. I think that's acceptable. Just get rid of the extra land, even because I am going to play everything. I guess I'm going to get fluxed and die, but whatever, man. Should I play around days? Where's this list? Where'd the list go? There's 2 dazes? Oh, I can't play around days. Well, that's bad for the home team. I guess it's better if my Inspector gets countered than my Lotus. No, I guess that's not actually true. It's just better if my Lotus gets dazed than my Inspector. I'm not entirely sure I like the way I sequence this. This baits Wasteland. It says I'm going to Wasteland you. It might make them get a basic. Like, this is, like, very, very signaling of a Wasteland. So, yeah, so I just made it so they didn't get a red source or green source. So I feel like that's a pretty reasonable play. Now my needle is not going to name this because that's a mana ability. So I have to choose Dak, Ren, Fetch. I gotta get that list back up. Dak, Ren, Fetch. They have a split fetch mana base. I would have to name Strand. It's pretty garbage. So I guess I will name Dak Faden. And then I'm going to play Crucible because I don't want to get wastelanded here. And then I'm going to finish with Thorn. This should prevent me from getting wasteland locked out of this game. And then this should help me not get energy fluxed. Unless I get Vigored at end of turn, I guess. I don't think my opponent's deck plays any Vigors, right? Because it has just Claim, right? Yeah. So I got my Thorn claimed, and now they can untap and flux me and wipe my whole board. I did play around Wasteland. Yeah, all right, well. All right, so yeah, that was fun. I mean, I played my cards, and they beat some of their cards, but they didn't beat that many cards, so. All right, so here we are at the end of our league. We went 3-2 and got our money back. It was very... question mark. We kicked the shit out of Dredge. We lost pretty bad to Jund, Force of Vigor. And then we beat, what, 2 Tinker decks? Is it 2 Tinker decks? No, we beat the Ravager opponent, which we should definitely be favored versus Ravager with Null Rod, I would think. And then we beat Tinker, and then we got killed by the Fluxing Rug deck. And did I feel like I learned anything? Yeah. There are pluses and minuses to playing this version of Aggro Shops in comparison to playing Ravager. Things came up where we were like, well, if we had Ravager and Ballista, we would have this and that chances instead. Oh man, we can't bring in Wormcoil. It's much more dangerous versus Dak Faded and that kind of thing. But in general, my feel was that this deck was stronger. I mean, like, so it depends. If people are going to play a bunch of energy fluxes, this deck really just can't beat a single energy flux in any capacity, really. You have to have, like, a really nice Tolarian Academy draw or, like, a Traxos and some mana. But, like, you don't have the ability to go, like, Ravager, eat all of my stuff, put it on one unit, pay for the unit with my Ancient Tomb and attack you for lethal kind of thing. So if Flux is going to become the main answer, and it kind of looks like people are leaning towards Flux. A big reason people are leaning towards Flux is because those like Tinker Saga decks are really bad against Energy Flux. PO is like not... PO can play against Energy Flux pretty well because you can upkeep PO in response to the trigger. But if you have like a combination of Flux plus Oof, then PO doesn't really want to be Fluxed either. So it's a little bit here and there, but I could definitely see if the metagame is a Flux-heavy metagame, you wouldn't want to play this version over Ravager. However, the upside of having a Null Rod in your deck is very high. Like, the Saga decks, Tinker decks, opposing Ravager decks, Null Rod looked very good. And we didn't even play against all matchups where Null Rod was good. We boarded Null Rod out in 3 of our 5 matches, but the 2 matches we played Null Rod, they were quite good. And even some of our game 1s versus decks that didn't normally use Null Rod, or normally Null Rod wouldn't be good against, like some just like hitting like 1 Moxen to take a turn off or hitting a Ragavan token, it ended up okay. So if I had to choose, I probably would play this version over the Ravager Ballista version, because I do think the Null Rod is better. Now, I don't want you to play that because I want to play PO, but this definitely leans me to wanting to play like more Repeal, more Hercules kind of things, because if people are going to play 4 main deck Null Rod, things are going to get dicey. A rough part is like Null Rod gets around Dress Down, which I dislike a lot from the PO side, but you do have a main deck Hercules, so maybe it doesn't matter too much. What happened to the popular Golo shops? Well, people kind of adapted to it, and it just isn't as strong as the other decks. I That's basically what it is. Golo's shops spiked to, 20% of the metagame at one point, and now is down to less than 1% of the metagame. All of the workshop players have decided that Ravager is a better choice against the decks that are currently being played in the format, and I probably agree. There's something to be said about just like main decking 4 Null Rods in your Golos deck. That might be something that people haven't really experimented with enough, but for now, the workshop conglomerate has decided that Ravager is the way to go, and once one person goes, it seems like everyone follows. I think Golos is still fine. I know people have decided that it's not, but I was always not really a super big fan of Golos anyways, so like me moving from like 3 out of 10 to, or me moving from 4 out of 10 to 3 out of 10 is not like a huge change, so. But yeah. Kanister definitely has something cooked up with this list. I like where they took my list. Like I said, I had this idea about 3 months ago, and I didn't execute it in the same way as putting in the Null Rods in the main, and I think that might have really hampered me. Also, like keeping ballistas in my deck was probably really silly. I guess the reason is I wanted to be able to keep ballista in the main and have Null Rod on the board, and then I could switch them out when one was good and the other wasn't. And maybe that idea still has some merit, but. Maybe you could even like play Ravager and Ballista in the main and then have a board plan that's like 4 Null Rods and 4 something else and just board the whole package in. I don't know. I feel like there's definitely some room to work with here. Like I don't feel like these sideboard cards are extremely hard hitting. Like Archive Trap is probably not even necessary with the amount of Doomsday Bits being played. You could probably use these as something else, and then you're just looking at like 11 pieces of graveyard hate, or like this is just. Wait, is it actually just all graveyard hate? 13 pieces? Well, you don't really count Wormcoil as a graveyard hate, but you do sometimes bring it in against Dredge. So like 10 pieces of graveyard hate and 3 Wormcoils. Like this deck has some room to play its sideboard out. So, little here, little there. Thank you for watching all the way to the end of this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. That's a free action you can take to help support the channel, and I would appreciate that. Same goes to you, Twitch chatters. If you want to check out the YouTube links in the description. I'm going to be trying to be working on my YouTube in the near future. I did a bunch of improvements last night, adding an intro, outro, working on my titles, working on my thumbnails. So I want to try to get the YouTube going to a really high level. So I hope you can support me in that endeavor. And I will see you in the next vintage video.